It's wild to think 30 years ago this week, the music world got hit with some
Mhm.
seriously shocking news. March 26th, 2025, Eazy E, like, a defining voice in rap, announced he had this serious illness.
Yeah, it really resonated, didn't it? I mean, beyond just the music, right? He was a figure so many people recognized.
Totally. And what made it so impactful, I think, was how fast everything went down. I mean, just a month later, he was gone. And for 3 decades now, there have been a lot of people who've, questioned the official story.
Right, absolutely. While the cause of death officially was that illness, a lot of folks close to him have always felt like there was something more to it. This whole idea that, Easy was actually murdered.
So going into this deep dive, the thing that kind of jumps out is how much these theories have stuck around. We see a lot of people who knew him well just like straight up not believing his death was natural.
Yeah, and looking at why those doubts took hold, I mean, first off, the speed of it all, the way the illness progressed was like incredibly fast. I mean, while it's definitely possible, a diagnosis leading to death inside a month from something that severe, it understandably raised some red flags for people in his circle.
And this is where things get super interesting. The stuff we've been going through highlights that even though he had multiple partners and kids, none of them ever came down with the same illness.
What's fascinating is how that specific detail became this like focal point for people who suspect foul play. If it was a typical, communicable disease, the lack of transmission to his family, I mean, it does raise a big question.
Oh, absolutely. So you have this very public figure, this sudden tragic decline, and then this thing about his family being totally unaffected. It's almost like the perfect storm for suspicion, isn't it? For alternative explanations to kind of start popping up.
Right, and thinking about how these narratives form, especially after a death that's so sudden and unexpected, people often try to find explanations that, like, make sense of it all, The
Right.
lack of spread within his family probably just amplified that.
So here we are 30 years later, we have the official explanation, but then there's this really strong undercurrent of belief that something else happened.
It really shows you the power of those circumstantial details, the speed of it, the lack of spread. Even if they don't prove anything sinister, they create this space where doubt can grow and people can start to see different interpretations.
And looking at everything we've got, it's clear that despite all these theories, there's never been any solid confirmation of foul play. So it remains in this realm of speculation, a lot of it fueled by grief and these lingering questions.
Yeah, this kind of leads to an interesting point for you to ponder. Given that timeline and that detail about none of his partners or children getting sick, what are the different possibilities? Even without having like concrete evidence, it's a real head scratcher, isn't it? It makes you think about how these narratives take hold, how they can hang around for so long when there aren't clear answers.
Yeah, it really does. It's fascinating, but it also makes you realize how much we still don't know, even after 30 years.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. It's been pretty thought-provoking.
It has. It really has. Thanks for having me.